I lost my train of thought. Hey everybody, John with Vynyly here. And I wanted to start out this video. This is 5 on Friday, by the way. Welcome. I wanted to start out this video by saying thank you for watching. I don't think I say that enough. The last time I checked, which I don't check often, but the last time I did check, there were over 100 million YouTube channels, active YouTube channels. 100 million. And you guys, whoever you are, you're watching mine right now. So I can't say thank you enough, because you've got 100 million other channels you could be watching. And I guess this makes me a really bad marketer, because I've just opened my video by telling you there's 100 million other things you could be doing, other things you could be watching. But I mean, I never claimed to be a genius, because I'm a genius. So, little story. About 10 years ago, I took my daughters to a Taylor Swift concert. I think it was the Red Tour. Ed Sheeran opened for her. It was fantastic. It was a great show. And Ed Sheeran was awesome too. It was before he really got big. But at the time, I wasn't a big Taylor Swift fan. I wasn't against Taylor Swift. It was kind of a, take it or leave it kind of situation. If the music came on, I would leave it on. I wouldn't search it out by any means. Not really what I was into. But then this album came along, Folklore. And that made me sit up and take notice. This one is, I would say it's a little bit more of a mature sound, kind of an alt Americana, folky kind of thing. I'm kind of into that, but I'm into hard rock too, of course. But I'm also into this, and it really made me sit up and take notice. And listen, I get it. Taylor is right now. She's everywhere. She is. She got the Eras tour. The Eras tour film is coming out. She's re-releasing her old albums, re-recording her old albums and re-releasing them. She's at football games. I mean, she's just everywhere. It's almost media saturation with Taylor Swift right now. But she and her team know what they're doing. They're very savvy. And I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that after all of this is in the past, all of this Taylor craziness is in the past, and she's continued her career, she may be looked upon as this generation's Joni Mitchell. Now, I know that may be sacrilege to some of you, but I feel that's true. Taylor writes her own music. Every song in her discography, she has either written or co-written, except the ones that are obviously covers. So she's writing these songs. She doesn't have a team of other people writing these songs for her, trying to figure out what people want to hear and creating a song in some lab. And sending it over to her for her to perform. She writes this stuff, which is why the earlier albums have more of a youthful, kind of a younger mentality about them. And as she gets older, her music gets more and more mature, which is why Folklore made me sit up and take notice, because it was different than any of the Taylor Swift stuff that I'd heard before. So, today's 5 on Friday, if you haven't guessed, Folklore by Taylor Swift. Stay with me. I'm going to give you 5 things you may not know about this album. And after that, maybe you'll want to check it out. Let me show you the inside here. Inside here, it's a double, it's a gatefold. And this is the back right here. So, 5 on Friday, Taylor Swift Folklore. Here we go. Number 1. So this album was very much a product of the pandemic. Taylor had to cancel the tour for her 2019 album, Lover. And she had to cancel that tour in early 2020 when the lockdown happened due to COVID, right? So she spent a lot of time at home, as we all did, and she started to conceive of this album. It wasn't planned. This album wasn't planned. She started to conceive of it during lockdown. And so she reached out to Aaron Dessner from the band The National and Jack Antonoff from the bands Bleachers and Fun. And she started to co-write with them electronically. Once the album was kind of, well, not even when it was fully written, it was partially written, she enlisted the help of an engineer and built a recording studio in her home so that she could record these songs. Of course, like I said, everything was in lockdown. You couldn't get a recording studio because they were all closed. So she built her own. So this project was very secretive. It was recorded via co-writing, sending electronic files back and forth, and it was recorded at home. So this project was so secret that even her label, Republic Records, didn't know it existed until just hours before she released it. I mean, what a gift to the label. I don't know how she pulled that off, but she did. Number 2. So this is the standard cover, what's called the standard cover for Folklore. And there were 8 different covers released, but all of the photography was kind of a very DIY approach. Taylor enlisted a photographer named Beth Garabrandt to do the photography, but she did all of her own styling and makeup and wardrobe herself because it was lockdown. It was during COVID, and she couldn't gather this big team around her. So it was a very DIY approach with just her and a photographer, and kind of communicating the feelings that she wanted in the photography. There were eventually 8 different album covers released, and it was the hide and seek cover that had the mysterious word Woodvale printed in the upper right. Very faint. And so Taylor Swift fans saw that, and they were going crazy. They thought Woodvale would be the name of the next album or some other secret project. But it turns out that Woodvale was just a placeholder because it looked good. It had about the right amount of letters, and it was just a placeholder for the album title. And they forgot to remove it when they printed the hide and seek version of the album cover. So that one now, if you want to buy a copy of Folklore, the hide and seek album cover, it's going to run you around $300. It's very rare. Number 3, Folklore garnered Swift 5 Grammy Award nominations and 1 Album of the Year, making Taylor Swift the first female to win Album of the Year 3 times, and only the 4th artist overall to win 3 times. She's tied now with Frank Sinatra, Stevie Wonder, and Paul Simon. If you're interested in seeing framed copies of your favorite albums, head on over to vynyly.com, vynyly.com. Take a look at what we have over there. Number 4. So the 3rd song on side 1 is called The Last Great American Dynasty. And in it, the story, it talks about a wealthy socialite who bought this mansion, moved in, and she was this strong, independent woman who really disrupted things in town and was the talk of the town. And eventually, at the end of the song, talks about how Taylor Swift now owns that mansion, and she's a strong, independent woman who is the talk of the town. Turns out that story is mostly true. The house really does exist. The wealthy socialite who moved in years and years ago, I think in the 30s maybe, her name was Rebecca Harkness, and she named the house Holiday House. And years after she was long gone, it was called High Watch for a little while, and then Taylor Swift bought the house. She did not know about its history. She learned about the history after she bought it. So that inspired her to write the song Last Great American Dynasty. It's about a real person, real people. It's about real people and about an actual house. It really does exist. It's in the Watch Hill neighborhood of Weatherly, Rhode Island. Number 5, this album marks a departure for Taylor in which she writes songs from other people's perspectives, other characters' perspectives. There's a lot of characters, a lot of storytelling in this album. It's not quite as much Taylor singing about her feelings or what she thinks. This is really more about her inhabiting different characters. And a great example of that are the 3 songs Cardigan, Betty, and August, which are all tied together, kind of seen as a trilogy of songs about this love triangle. And each song is written from a different character's perspective at different points in their lives. Really, really interesting to tell a story that way. And again, that's one of the things that I think makes Folklore a step forward in Taylor's career as far as just being really, really deep into storytelling and character creation. So this isn't really a bonus fact, but it's just kind of an observation. So this is a great example. This album, for me, is a great example of how, and you know, on this channel, we love vinyl albums and album artwork and physical media. We love all of that stuff, right? I mean, I love this stuff. And so do you, I think, most of you. But if it wasn't for streaming, I probably never would have given this album a chance. I would have never listened to it. I would have never heard songs like Exile with the band Bon Iver singing with Taylor. Well, Justin Vernon from Bon Iver singing with Taylor. That's the first song that really made me take notice. I probably wouldn't have, I don't listen to radio much. So I probably would not have been exposed to this album without streaming. And that's kind of the cool part, right? About streaming services and physical media kind of working together. Because I listened to this on streaming, listened to it again, and guess what? Now I own a physical copy of it. And the same goes with Evermore, the follow-up to this album. So it's really, really cool how those two things, they don't have to be in conflict all the time. They can work together, which is, I think, is really cool. Really cool. It's also probably really good for the artist as well. So that's it for another 5 on Friday. Thank you for sticking with me. Thank you for watching until this point. Please remember to like and subscribe if you haven't done it already. And I hope you guys have a great day.